No. It was summer. It was afternoon. It was a drowsy time. Pogo was asleep. But not for very long. All of a sudden, he was run over. Pogo's foot was run over by a speeding baby carriage. The driver fell down and started to cry. The driver was a very young gentleman named Nubbet Nibble. He was a mouse. His mother, named Mrs. Nibble, was also...
My father claims he learned something in the 4th grade back in 1895. He was daydreaming away a sullen afternoon. The day before, the teacher had sprung in praise on the class, and his poetry intrigued him. He sat there muttering to himself over and over again. Past participle tense. Past participle tense. Past participle tense. Just then, much to his dismay, the teacher called on him for the answer to a question he did not hear then and has not figured out to this day. He lurched to his feet and said the first thing that came to his mind. Naturally, it was past participle tense. There was a general cry of disbelief from the class and an astounded gasp from the teacher. "You're right," she admitted, once she recovered her voice, and Father was undisturbed for the rest of the day.
Can we eggplant? Can we corn?
Can we succotash?
Scrappy, scrappy, scrappy,
Basketball, mustache.
Hey, now, are we all met? Let's see here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I'll get 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 it is.
Right.
Double check it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I still get 5.
I was always under the impression there was 6 of us.
Well, let's see. I get 5. You 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 get 5.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's 6 5s, making that.
Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, lend me a few fingers, will you?
Well, I got more if you need them.
All right. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. 30? There's 30 of us?
That's impossible. We only got 6 pairs of pants.
Well, the way to settle how many of us are present is by algebra.
Oh, I got my 1st grade algebra book right here. It says, where is it? It says, let x equal the unknown.
The unknown. That'd be Snorbert Zangox over in Waycross.
He's unknown.
Well, the best. I never heard of it.
Me neither. Listen, I'll put down a 1 for me not knowing him.
Well, mark me down for another.
And me.
Me too.
Me too.
Don't forget me too.
I won't. I add up the 1s, and I get 6.
Meaning there's 6 of us don't know it. So, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. There's 6 of us. Man, that algebra's a miracle.
Dumplings made a bug racer estimate.
Free from entities, the blood fought through the sport.
Here you go.
Copy now and I.
And 6 is I.
The speaker spoke.
The real.
Sing it for a hum.
Oh, rabba dabba dabba deals. Oh, rabba dabba. Good job. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are the 6th Waltz.
Hello.
Welcome to Songs of the Pogo, stories and lyrics by Walt Kelly, the famed cartoonist, and music by Norman Monath and Mr. Kelly. You know, most of the words you'll be hearing this evening should be listened to with a light ear. They are the sort of noises one should make when you jump over a brook in the springtime. The noises made by a child's toy rolling downstairs. There are the noises of a determined grandfather eating corn on the cob. They are the nostalgic noises made by the squealing of a 1921 or 22 radio. If you listen closely, you may hear WKDKA now.
They are the new noises put out by frog peepers in the early April evening.
They're also the noises made in the winter of our discontent as we await the March trade winds and the hopeful breeze of a new baseball season.
The verse is found in either the daily pogo strips or the pogo books for gleaned, washed, buttoned into their little jackets with new hair combs and lunches and sent on their way to Mr. Norman Monat, with many instructions on not only how they should behave, but how Mr. Monat should behave. They were told how to handle themselves in the event that the music master tried to start anything.
These suspicious overtures proved to be entirely unnecessary, for Mr. Monat has gotten things out of the words which they did not know they had in him.
The editor once said, "Whosoever writes the music must be sure to get the full sense out of the words." Well, this is a little quaint, in so much as the guy who wrote the words never had a two-handed hold on the sense of them. But certainly Norman Monat's general sensitivity, even to the waves of sense which may not be there, has created some haunting and lovely music.
This first story serves as an introduction to the song, Go Go Pogo.
A little less than a century ago, a determined group of backwoodsmen gathered together in one of our frontier states, and I, a tall, lean, gangling fellow,
He looks okay to us.
said one, using a new expression. With this, the men sent through their petition. This was the man they wanted for president.
Hooray!
Now, one of the group was a traveling musician and entertainer who had written many a riverboat jig.
What we need is a good campaign song.
He declared, and he sat down at the piano and wrote the song, Go Go Pogo. Well, to the tune of this new song, the frontiersmen swarmed onto one of those big Mississippi riverboats and set out for the capital. They were confident that the man who was one of them, the man whom they carried on their shoulders and in their hearts, would be the next president. When Piedmont F. Pogo and his followers arrived in Washington, they found the country already had a president.
We already have a president.
What do you want him for?
Asked the campaign manager for the frontiersman, speaking to an important passerby.
We got the right candidate right here.
And he pointed to Mr. P.F. Pogo, who stood 7 feet tall and weighed upwards of 145 pounds. A memorable figure of a man.
Piedmont,
Said the campaign manager,
wrestle for the man.
and Piedmont put on a show of wrestling before the bystander, which impressed anyone who ever saw it. See, Piedmont wrestled only himself. He lost, but it was close.
Well, he looks all right, but like I say, we already got a president. Another thing, it ain't a presidential year. You can only get elected when there's an election.
Is that a fact?
Fact. Another thing, you're gonna have a candidate, you're gonna have a party. You can't have one without the other.
Is that a fact?
Fact.
Said the stranger, and bid them all a pleasant good morning.
Morning.
Fellas, how much money we got?
I got $22.
Oh, I got 11.
I got
I got
$7.
$2.
The crowd dug up about $42, which they placed in the manager's hat.
Ooh.
He counted it slowly and then said,
If we got to have a party, we got to have a party.
well, a party at one of the smaller inns turned into quite an affair, at which the police finally presided. Well, the frontiersman several months later returned home, footsore and pale. It was the end of Piedmont's political career. When he was asked later if he'd like to return to Washington, he replied that no, he'd seen it. Well, the song to which his friends rallied, even in later years, follows now in its original version. As Maine goes, the pogo go, Pilago. Otsego to Frisco go, Fargo. Okefenokee played in Asamana pogo. Stick around and see the show. Go, the land alive, the man, the giant, pogo, pogo. I go, you go, who go, to go, Polly, who go. From Caravan, Diego, Diego and Oswego.
Bridgeport, Connecticut is my hometown. Bridgeport is a good town. It nodded on the banks of the Paquantic, but it never nodded at me. Bridgeport was sort of an extension of New York, really, more than a part of Connecticut or southern New England. Such sophistication as it had was brought back by kids in college and so on. And it hated New Yorkers. And it hated Jews. Hated Negroes. Hated anybody that was outspoken or needed something done for them. So it was a very crap-ass town. But it was a great place to grow up. Until you got to be about 14 years of age and realize you didn't know a goddamn thing anyway, except how to jack off. Which I did not learn, sir.
Undoubtedly, it's unwise to look back over your shoulder while running in full career. There's a chance of falling on a corner of your head, or of bumping into an inoffensive fellow participant. Nonetheless, it has occurred to somebody that now's the time to talk reflectively of boyhood. Therefore, a backward glance. The first thing that occurs to me is that they're gaining on us fast. You know, life in some ways is like a race through a tunnel of love, where pictures of places and people speed backward and away to be replaced by new impressions, which in turn disappear to the rear. Much goes past you, around you, and over you, not actually through you before it's decently noted, and before most of us have been properly introduced or classified. The boy thrills to the chase and longs to see what's at the end, yet as he runs, he gathers sense enough to know that he'll be sorry when it's over. For whatever else it is, the trip is fun. The immediacy of the present with its baffling problems and the lure of the beyond make up for the poignancy that yesterday's present is a handful of brown leaves.
A song not for now, you need not going stay. A tune for the one can be sung for today. The note for the does not will sound as the does. Today you can sing for the will be that
Perhaps nobody feels little when he's a boy. There's just the impression that other people are bigger. Now, boys my own age were curious creatures, not entirely to be trusted, until centuries of adventure and misadventures had welded our hearts into one. Girls were a mystery, and have remained so. It was at about 10 or 11 that I discovered that girls were very good to kiss. This realization came with a sense of relief. Up until that point, I despaired of their being in any way useful. It had to be admitted that mothers were female too, but they were ready-made adults. Once in a while, one of them would let slip that she had been a girl at one time. To believe, on the other hand, that a father had been a boy was comparatively a snap. Perhaps that's because most of them remain somewhat boys. Sisters were something else. They're not girls, the kissing type, nor are they mothers. They're something like small mothers, but not entirely. Who belts his mother?
It is at a mother's knee that one hears the songs of one's early youth. Their haunting melodies burn into the brain. No exception is the lullaby, Many Harry Returns.
Once you were two, dear birthday friend, in spite of purple weather.
With this stirring tune driven into his consciousness as a small child, Major Madman Buns Pundish remembered and sang it to his troops as they stormed the Channel Crossing.
How forceful thou, forsooth, for you, for soon you will be born.
Major Pundish was immediately slain, thrilled by a hail of lead which observers believe came from both sides of the line. But he did not pass away before he had sung again the following song, Many Harry Returns.
But for one can
This age said that
All we could do was wait.
be
It wouldn't have been fair to fight her again.
the lullaby was then picked up by the enemy, who used it as a marching song.
Oh, what you were doing to birthday friend is by the purple
It
weather.
is claimed that the song did more to win the war than 10 regiments. Certain it is that if the enemy continued to use the melody, their ranks became more and more split. At last, a thoroughly disorganized rabble was put to flight, mumbling as they ran.
Before we can be 83, be 2, 8, 3, no!
Old friends of Mrs. Pundish have conjectured that as young Bunce was dangled on his mother's knees, he became confused as to the words and tune. Certain it is that the line, in spite of purple weather, had at one time a different meaning. Even the oldest inhabitants do not recall purple weather. Now, some have suggested that the line actually was, inside of turtle sweater. Well, this, of course, would make much more sense. But in the main, we have found it best to stick to the traditions. Once you were two, dear birthday friend, in spite of purple weather. But now you are three, and near the end, as we grew some together. How forthful thou, forsooth, for you, for soon you will be born. One can be three, be two, be four, be five, be
Are you hurt? Pogo asked the youth. No, he replied. Don't mind him, Pogo, said Mrs. Nibbler. He talks like that all the time. Can't you say anything but no? Asked Pogo. No, said Nubbit. Do you like the word no? No. But then I ask him if he wants breakfast. He says no. And then he eats it anyway. What happens then? I ask him if he likes it, and he says no. Nubbit, you should run away to a land with a language of no. No, replied Nubbit, and he ran away into the forest. Stop him, cried Mrs. Nibbler. He'll be back.